It's Joshua Vergara from Android Authority. What's going on, everybody? And I'm here with David Koh with Jide Technologies. And first question real quick. It's Jide, right? It's not pronounced?
It is Jide.
Oh, okay. We weren't too sure for a second there because of the way that the characters are put together. So it was a little bit confusing. But yes, Jide Technologies, and it's super exciting. This very morning, on the second day of MWC 2016, Jide Technologies announced, and released rather, the beta of RemixOS for PCs. So I wanted to sit down with, of course, with David and be able to take a look at some of the devices, including a future tablet that we did kind of see at CES. But we wanted to talk about the future of RemixOS and where you think that tablet computing in particular, but I'll move into other areas as well, is going based upon what you guys have done with RemixOS.
Definitely, sure.
So first of all, why don't you give us some information about the beta and sort of let the people know exactly what to expect about RemixOS and what they can do with RemixOS via the beta.
Sure. In 2016 in CES, we launched our first alpha release for Android PC. So the interesting thing is within a month, we're getting a lot of feedback from our community. So within a month, we can actually quickly adding all the features that users requested into the beta. So I'll name a couple. So first of all, they wanted to be installed on a hard disk instead of a USB drive.
Okay.
They want OTA updates. Now that we are supporting 32 bits as well as UEFI as well. So that opens up a lot more compatibility as well.
Okay. So yeah, we did get the USB thumb drives from CES, and a couple of our guys, Jonathan Feiss in particular on the team, has been really enjoying RemixOS. But from what I gathered at the Qualcomm booth, which is where you guys were meeting up with me, you also have the tablet, obviously. So I asked you a little bit earlier, we actually spoke before this interview, about the future of tablet computing, and we used the Pixel C as an example, and you had a lot of good insight as to why the Pixel C, even if the software, well, I'll let you sort of say what you said earlier, knowing that the Android space, especially the tablet software, is maybe not the best for productivity at the moment. What do you think that RemixOS is going to be able to bring to the tablet side of things? Yeah. So.
Well, I think it's a natural progression. The way that we looked at the history of Android, you look at way back 9-10 years ago when they first launched the G1.
Yeah.
It started off as a cell phone, and then tablets, TV, and then you see wearable, Android Auto. There's one thing in common. The common thing is all for consuming content. So this is the one big part of Android. Now, I think it's a natural progression that you move into the productivity space, not just consuming content. So I predict that 2016, 2007 is going to be a big year for Android going into this space. In 2015, Android launched the Pixel C. Mm-hmm. The way that we looked at it and said, this is actually very exciting. The way that some people have criticized Pixel C on the productivity side are not there yet, but the way that I looked at it is Google is sending a very clear signal to developers as well as to the world saying that we are going into the productivity space. So 2016, we're expecting to be something good coming up from Google.
Okay, well, I love that you say about the productivity space, because there have been a lot of examples recently on Android tablets about, let's say, the creative side. And I know that Adobe Lightroom was announced yesterday as well. Right. There are also digital drawing applications and whatnot. The main example that I can think of right now is the iPad Pro with the pencil.
Right.
Given Android as your backend and the way that you're presenting the workspace with the windows and the ability to launch multiple windows at once, are you going to be supporting these types of, let's say, CAD drawing applications, or let's say something that Windows 10 Mobile might be able to provide on like a Surface Pro?
Certainly. I think the way that we're seeing in tablets, some of people are saying that the tablet sales has been dropping recently, but we believe that it's actually the growing sector is the 2-in-1 form factor and the larger screen, 10-inch or above. You have seen that iPad Pro, you mentioned it was a 12-inch tablet, and obviously Surface is doing well, and Google came out with Pixel C. Yeah. So 2016, 2017 is going to be a big year for Android coming into a larger screen size.
Okay. So how about certain case scenarios on RemixOS? Are applications like, say, for drawing and for CAD drawing and everything like that, or even 3D modeling, is Android, based on RemixOS, powerful enough to provide that experience? Certainly.
RemixOS has always been focusing on larger screen tablets, larger screen form factors, even PCs. Mm-hmm. So in this kind of scenario, larger screen for productivity is perfect for it. Larger screen for your pen, drawing, multiple windows, so you can have a browser open as well as a drawing application open. This is actually perfect scenario.
Okay. And obviously we met at a Qualcomm booth earlier. Why don't you tell us about do you guys have a relationship with Qualcomm now? What is the partnership that you guys have?
We have a very close partnership with Qualcomm. We have built a prototype of the next generation tablet using a high-end Qualcomm chipset as a reference design. So we're looking for sometime this year we'll be launching something very exciting.
Oh, okay, great. And I imagine that the optimizations behind RemixOS will not really piggyback, but rely on, let's say, Snapdragon processors and whatnot. So is it different creating the experience of RemixOS for a Snapdragon processor compared to a PC? Are there any hurdles between the two? Because I understand that you want to have the same RemixOS on both experiences.
Right. The way that we looked at RemixOS is we fully optimize it for both affordable low-end devices as well as high-end. Obviously, if you're using high-end, some of the graphics, some of the games will be smoother. Yeah. But in general, for browsing, watching YouTube, browsing Facebook, Twitter, all this, for a low-end affordable PC, it's completely okay.
Okay. And with the tablet that we've been talking about, and you're seeing some footage of it right now, as I'm going to take a look at it a little bit more later. This is a thought that I had. I understand that you're focusing on the larger screens and whatnot. Do you see RemixOS moving into a more mobile space in terms of, let's say, smartphones, or are you thinking of a different form factor at all? But I was thinking, like, would a RemixOS smartphone version ever become a thing for you guys? Do you think? Because multitasking in and of itself on an Android smartphone, or any smartphone for that matter.
Certainly. You know? So RemixOS, we never limit ourselves in just one form factor. Right now, we're focusing on larger screen, obviously. But the key thing is, I think Android has unlimited possibility. I think this is just the very beginning of Android. The key thing about Android is the ecosystem. The ecosystem, you can have apps on your phone, you can have apps on your TV, you can have apps on larger screen display. So it's a natural progression for RemixOS to adopt to different form factors.
Okay. And so with all of that in mind, obviously we're really excited to see where RemixOS goes. And I was playing with the tablet earlier, and it just seems so seamless to be able to have a touchscreen Windows-like interface that provides all of that, and it looks wonderful. I was going to say. Now you have the beta out. What is the next step in your roadmap for RemixOS? What can we look forward to in terms of release? And also in terms of feature sets, is there anything else you're going to be bringing out on the software?
I think the most important part is to work closely with our community. One of the key things about our company is we're not very traditional. We spend a lot of time listening to our community, building up our community, listening to what their feedbacks are. So we're going to continue listening to feedback, improving our software. I think that's the number one most important thing. And also, sometime this year, second half of this year, you'll be seeing a lot of partners coming up with RemixOS different devices.
Okay, wonderful. All right, well, I do want to make sure that our audience knows where they can find all of RemixOS, and also, if anything, if they want to become part of the community, where could the people find RemixOS and Jide Technologies, for that matter, so that they can join in on the fun that is RemixOS?
The best way is to come to our website, www.jide.com.
All right, wonderful. You're going to see links in the description below to be able to find all of that. And I would encourage everyone to see this version of Android, because for years we have had this version of Android that is the recent app screen, kind of really, even on tablets, just focused upon the sort of the home screen experience. But now it's a workspace, and you're seeing the footage right now that we had from CES of how you're able to open multiple apps at the same time. I think for the most part, we always knew that Android is able to have multiple tasks going at once, but it's never fully shown to us. And I think that's why I think RemixOS is such a nice step forward.
Yes.
All right, wonderful. Well, I want to thank you again, David. Thank you so much for the interview, and I'm going to go ahead and play around with the tablet some more.
Thanks.
So keep it tuned to Android Authority for even more about RemixOS, and don't forget to head on over to their site in the description. These guys are super fun to hang out with, so we want you guys to see what they have in store with the beta that you can try on PCs now. So keep it tuned to Android Authority for even more, and remember to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, so you can see even more from MWC 2016.
Thank you.